Chapter 4, System Selection. System selection is determining which information system, IS, will be purchased. The system selection process begins with the idea that the healthcare facility should consider obtaining a particular IS, such as the Master Patient Index. The process continues until the contract has been signed. The complexity of the selection process varies widely. The length of the time varies, and the number of people involved varies as well. The system selection is part of the system development life cycle, which is a model used to represent the ongoing process of developing or purchasing an information system. There are models for the SDLC. The one used in this chapter has 4 steps: planning and analysis, design, implementation, support, and evaluation. The planning and analysis phase of the SDLC. During the planning and analysis phase of the SDLC, the project is defined. A formal structure for project management is created, and the needs of the healthcare facility are identified. The phase begins with initiation, which is when the decision is made to obtain the IS. Information system strategic planning means identifying information systems needed to meet the healthcare facility's business objectives. IS strategic planning is defined as the process of identifying and assigning priorities to the application of information technology that will assist an organization in executing its business plans and achieving its strategic goals and objectives. Part of the IS strategic planning process is performing a needs assessment. The needs assessment evaluates the need for the various ISs under consideration. The needs assessment should include a comparison of costs to benefits received. The planning and analysis phase are as follows: planning, organizing the project, defining the scope of the project, and systems analysis. Planning is the most critical step in the system selection process. A lack of planning can cause problems with the system. The most common reasons for failure are poor planning and direction, insufficient communication, ineffective management, failure to meet the needs of the stakeholders, lack of involvement from executive leadership, lack of skills by staff, weak methodology and tools, and also lack of end user involvement. Planning for an IS is a complex process and involves the following steps: conducting a feasibility study, setting the budget, setting the goals and objectives, identifying the project manager and team, obtaining buy-in from management and users. Conducting a feasibility study. A feasibility study is conducted by the healthcare facility to determine if a proposed information system is an appropriate option to meet the objectives of the healthcare facility. The study examines the cost, the benefits, and any expected problems, and then determines whether or not to proceed with the proposed IS. The benefits should be both tangible and intangible. Tangible benefits are easy to quantify in dollars, while intangible benefits cannot be quantified monetarily. Developing the budget for a system selection project is important, as cost is a key determining factor in deciding whether or not to implement an IS. The budget should include system selection and implementation expenses, as well as the cost of maintaining the IS for a specified period of time. Additionally, the budget should include items such as the cost of software, upgrading infrastructure, hardware, training, renovations to the physical plant, maintenance of the IS, project management, consultant expenses, and travel expenses for the site visits. Goals and objectives. The goals and objectives identify what the healthcare facility wants to accomplish with the implementation of the proposed system and how those goals will be achieved. These information system goals should be based on the healthcare facility's business goals. One strategy for writing goals is the SMART methodology. This stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. A specific goal tells you what, who, where, when, which, and why. A measurable goal provides something that you can use to compare the actual outcome to the goal to determine if it has been met. An attainable goal is one that you have the skills and resources to accomplish. A relevant goal is one that, while challenging, can be accomplished given some time and other factors. A timely goal is one that provides a deadline to meet. You can use this strategy in your personal life as well. Once the IS is implemented, it should be evaluated regularly thereafter as to whether it met and will continue to meet or exceed the stated goals and objectives. The project manager and the project team. Project management is a formal set of principles and procedures that help control the activities associated with implementing an unusually large undertaking to achieve a specific goal. Project leadership, including the project manager and the project team members, should be identified before the project begins. A project team is a collection of individuals representing various disciplines. The project team members' skills will vary according to the needs of the project. The project manager is in charge of leading the project. The project manager must have strong skills in a multitude of areas, such as project management, leadership, organizational skills, and conflict management. The project manager is responsible for ensuring that the project plan stays within the designated timeline. Issues are resolved, desired outcomes are met, and customer satisfaction is achieved. Obtaining buy-in. It is critical that management show support for the IS. If so, the employees will then follow suit and support it. However, if management displays discontent or a lack of support, the employees will most likely resist the change. Communication is critical at this stage. Staff and everyone to be affected by the IS should receive ongoing updates on the decisions, changes, and expectations. The more staff members are informed about the EHR or other projects, the less likely they will be to resist. If the staff who will use the system are asked for their feedback, they will feel valued. Change is the formal process of introducing change, getting it adopted, and diffusing it throughout the healthcare facility. Although some people welcome change, most have a natural aversion to it. A great deal of change management involves reducing these fears and preparing employees for what is to come. Employees should be kept current on the implementation process. They want to know what the IS will do for them and what training will occur and the overall progress of the implementation, including any issues. Employees should be involved in the process whenever possible. The organization of the project. We have the project team, we have a specific objective, a series of activities, defined start and stop dates, and deliverables. Membership will vary on the project team. We could have a steering committee who is responsible for every IS acquisition project in the facility. This steering committee is frequently led by the Chief Information Officer. A user task force could also be part of the project team, as well as a vendor representative. Sometimes healthcare facilities hires consultants. The project manager is ultimately responsible for coordinating the individual project, monitoring the budget, managing the resources, conducting negotiations, and keeping the project on schedule. Defining the scope of the project. The project definition is determined during the project planning process to tell the healthcare facility exactly what it is trying to do with the IS being implemented and the expected outcomes. The healthcare facility must identify the purpose of the IS, how the system links to the healthcare facility's business strategy, the goals for and the scope of the project. Identifying the project's definition is important to prevent scope creep. Scope creep happens when items not included in the original scope are added after the project has begun. To help keep the project on target, a project plan should be created. Once the healthcare knows what it plans to do, The project team can begin dividing the project into specific activities or tasks. The project plan should describe each task to be completed, how it will be completed, and who is responsible for for completion, when a task should begin, and when the task should be finished. The basic components of the plan are as follows: feasibility study, resources, design, hardware and software procurement, transition, implementation, support, and evaluation. There are a number of project management tools used to control the project. These tools include Gantt charts, project evaluation and review technique, also known as a PERT chart, project plans, trouble tickets, and status reports. Systems analysis is an important part of collecting, organizing, and evaluating data on the healthcare facility and the information that it needs. Systems analysis should be performed early in the project as it helps the project team determine the data, storage, reporting, and functionality needs of the healthcare facility. This stage reviews the current processes of the healthcare facility, the proposed processes, and the desired functional requirements. Functional requirements describe the functionality that an IS should be able to perform. Internal and external environmental scanning can identify some issues that must be addressed. Internal scanning entails identifying changes within the healthcare facility that will impact the IS, such as if new services or new clinics will be implemented. External scanning is identifying changes outside of the healthcare facility, such as pending legislation and trends. There are various tools to gather data. Among them are questionnaires, interviews, observations, flowcharts, and other data collection tools. The information gathered should include all aspects of the system, such as data elements, reports, privacy, security, and overall functionality. During the design phase of the system's development life cycle, the requirements identified in systems analysis are used to create specifications for the IS. The design should specify what data are collected, from where the data will originate, and in what format the data should be stored, as well as the size of the database and amount of activities expected. The design phase includes determining who will build and maintain the system, choosing between integrated and interfaced ISs, and making the decision on which IS will be selected. One of the critical decisions to be made during the planning process is whether a healthcare facility should build the system itself, purchase it from a vendor, or use vendor services such as cloud computing. Advantages to cloud computing are as follows: collaboration, speed, mobility, privacy and security, and decrease costs. Of cloud computing is that the user may not have as much control over the IS. For example, the scheduling of maintenance and upgrades is up to the host. Another disadvantage is that the facility is renting the system. The second option would be for the healthcare facility to the information system. If they build an information system, it would be designed to meet the specific needs of that healthcare facility. However, there are disadvantages. It could take longer to develop, and the planning must be more detailed. Further, if the healthcare facility loses the staff that developed the system, it may be difficult to upgrade the system to meet the needs of the facility over time, or to troubleshoot any issues that may arise. Also, there could be high development costs. The final option, which most healthcare facilities choose, would be to purchase a pre-developed software package from a vendor. When working with a vendor, the healthcare facility may have the opportunity to be an alpha site. An alpha site is the first healthcare facility to implement the information. The healthcare facility generally receives a discount in exchange for participation in the development of the information system. Because the IS is still being developed, the healthcare facility may face problems with the implementation that would not be encountered with a more mature version of the same AS. The healthcare facility may also be asked to be a beta site. Beta sites are the next healthcare facilities who subsequently implement the IS. Many of the problems have been resolved with the alpha site, but these beta sites are likely to encounter numerous problems as well. Alpha is from the Greek letter A, beta is for the Greek letter B. Integrated information systems are separate applications that are designed to work together. Data are entered into one IS and then are accessible to the other. Integrated ISs collect, store, and retrieve information from the same database. The ISs have similar screen design, which makes moving from one IS to another easier for the user. The decision to purchase software from a single vendor is frequently called best of fit. In an interfaced IS, the products are not designed to work together, but rather are linked through an interface. An interface takes data from one system and plugs that data into another IS. In other words, an interface acts as a bridge between two ISs or databases. An interface has to know what data to retrieve, where the data are located in the first database, whether any data manipulation has to be performed, and if so, what that manipulation is, and where the data will be entered into the second database. Although an interfaced IS takes more effort to manage, many healthcare facilities choose this method. This is because users can choose the various products that they want instead of choosing a single vendor's product off the shelf. Choosing the IS is based on functionality rather than by vendor is called choosing the best of breed. Selection. There are a number of steps in the system selection process. Request for information and proposal, evaluation, selection of an information system, and contract negotiation. A request for information, or RFI, is a formal document requesting basic information about the product and how the IS would meet the requirements outlined in the RFI. The RFI can be used to select minor systems, or the information gathered in the RFI could be used to determine who will receive the more rigorous request for proposal, or RFP. The RFP is a much more detailed document than the RFI. The RFP includes several components: letter of introduction, information for potential bidders, description of the system, required format of the response, the instructions for the RFP, system testing requirements, and a vendor profile. Evaluating the proposed systems can be done through on-site and online demonstrations, site visits, a review of the RFP, and reference checks. To prevent disagreements over which system to choose, there should be a quantifiable means of evaluating the ISs. One way is to assign points to the RFP review, site visits, observations, and other evaluation methods. Then the system with the highest number of points should theoretically be the best IS and therefore the one that is chosen. However, this is not always the case because a vendor may have the overall highest score but have low scores in some important functions. A useful method is using a weighted decision matrix. This is based on what features are the most important to the healthcare facility. The last step is the contract negotiation. Typically, a contract team and not the project team negotiates the contract. The negotiating team should include at least the CIO and attorney. The goal of the contract negotiation is a win-win situation. There are several clauses to be covered in a contract. These include a software license, delivery dates, warranties and guarantees, the responsibilities of each party, the state whose laws govern the contract, costs. In addition, milestones for payment, a term called force majeure, or think of act of God, software and escrow, cancellation of the contract, and the version of the software to be installed. Finally, penalties, acceptance testing, maintenance and update, training, and documentation.